Blessed love and light. We're going to finish the book in Richest Man in Babylon. So right now we're going to listen to the Declaration of Human Rights. And you know, same time that finish, we always start 9:30 when that finish. Okay, everybody have to know the human rights. And remember, say human rights is still the laws of your country. You understand me? I say, anywhere in the earth you're there, the law apply for you in any country. Anywhere in the earth you're there, the law protect you. You have rights. I mean, nobody tell you, say, because you're not a citizen. You have rights. Anywhere in the earth you're there, you have rights. You got me, I say? So that's why I always pay the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. First thing. You know what I mean? Before we finish the book, we're going to recite it because this is supposed to be with A, B, C, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, yeah. The Declaration of Human Rights. No stop till you know it by heart. So when police or anybody stop and try to violate your rights, you can speak for yourself.
This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information and to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. This recording by David Barnes, London, June 2006. The United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Preamble. Whereas recognition of the inherent dignity and of the equal and inalienable rights of all members of the human family is the foundation of freedom, justice, and peace in the world. Whereas disregard and contempt for human rights have resulted in barbarous acts which have outraged the conscience of mankind, and the advent of a world in which human beings shall enjoy freedom of speech and belief, and freedom from fear and want, has been proclaimed as the highest aspiration of the common people. Whereas it is essential, if man is not to be compelled to have recourse, as a last resort, to rebellion against tyranny and oppression, that human rights should be protected by the rule of law. Whereas it is essential to promote the development of friendly relations between nations. Whereas the peoples of the United Nations have in the Charter reaffirmed their faith in fundamental human rights, in the dignity and worth of the human person, and in the equal rights of men and women, and have determined to promote social progress and better standards of life in larger freedom. Whereas member states have pledged themselves to achieve, in cooperation with the United Nations, the promotion of universal respect for and observance of human rights and fundamental freedoms. Whereas a common understanding of these rights and freedoms is of the greatest importance for the full realization of this pledge. Now, therefore, the General Assembly proclaims this Universal Declaration of Human Rights as a common standard of achievement for all peoples and all nations, to the end that every individual and every organ of society, keeping this declaration constantly in mind, shall strive by teaching and education to promote respect for these rights and freedoms, and by progressive measures, national and international, to secure their universal and effective recognition and observance, both among the peoples of member states themselves and among the peoples of territories under their jurisdiction. Article 1. All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. They are endowed with reason and conscience, and should act towards one another in a spirit of brotherhood. Article 2. Everyone is entitled to all the rights and freedoms set forth in this declaration, without distinction of any kind, such as race, color, sex, language, religion, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth or other status. Furthermore, no distinction shall be made on the basis of the political, jurisdictional or international status of the country or territory to which a person belongs, whether it be independent, trust, non-self-governing, or under any other limitation of sovereignty. Article 3. Everyone has the right to life, liberty, and security of person. Article 4. No one shall be held in slavery or servitude. Slavery and the slave trade shall be prohibited in all their forms. Article 5. No one shall be subjected to torture or to cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment. Article 6. Everyone has the right to recognition everywhere as a person before the law. Article 7. All are equal before the law and are entitled without any discrimination to equal protection of the law. All are entitled to equal protection against any discrimination in violation of this declaration and against any incitement to such discrimination. Article 8. Everyone has the right to an effective remedy by the competent national tribunals for acts violating the fundamental rights granted him by the Constitution or by law. Article 9. No one shall be subjected to arbitrary arrest, detention, or exile. Article 10. Everyone is entitled in full equality to a fair and public hearing by an independent and impartial tribunal in the determination of his rights and obligations and of any criminal charge against him. Article 11. 1. Everyone charged with a penal offence has the right to be presumed innocent until proved guilty according to law in a public trial at which he has had all the guarantees necessary for his defence. 2. No one shall be held guilty of any penal offence on account of any act or omission which did not constitute a penal offence under national or international law at the time when it was committed, nor shall a heavier penalty be imposed than the one that was applicable at the time the penal offence was committed. Article 12. No one shall be subjected to arbitrary interference with his privacy, family, home, or correspondence, nor to attacks upon his honour and reputation. Everyone has the right to the protection of the law against such interference or attacks. Article 13. 1. Everyone has the right to freedom of movement and residence within the borders of each state. 2. Everyone has the right to leave any country, including his own, and to return to his country. Article 14. Everyone has the right to seek and to enjoy in other countries asylum from persecution. 2. This right may not be invoked in the case of prosecutions genuinely arising from non-political crimes or from acts contrary to the purposes and principles of the United Nations. Article 15.
Enlightenment. Blessed love and
Everyone
light.
has the right to a
More light
nationality.
to your light.
2. No one shall be arbitrarily deprived of his nationality, nor denied the right to change his nationality. Article 16. 1. Men and women of full age, without any limitation due to race, nationality or religion, have the right to marry and to found a family. They are entitled to equal rights as to marriage, during marriage and at its dissolution. 2. Marriage shall be entered into only with the free and full consent of the intending spouses. 3. The family is the natural and fundamental group unit of society, and is entitled to protection by society and the state. Article 17. 1. Everyone has the right to own property alone, as well as in association with others. 2. No one shall be arbitrarily deprived of his property. Article 18. Everyone has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. This right includes freedom to change his religion or belief, and freedom, either alone or in community with others and in public or private, to manifest his religion or belief in teaching, practice, worship, and observance.
Stop studying human rights.
Article 19. Everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression. This right includes freedom to hold opinions without interference, and to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media and regardless of frontiers.
Salute.
Article 20. 1. Everyone has the right to freedom of peaceful assembly and association. 2. No one may be compelled to belong to an association. Article 21. 1. Everyone has the right to take part in the government of his country, directly or through freely chosen representatives. 2. Everyone has the right to equal access to public service in his country. 3. The will of the people shall be the basis of the authority of government. This will shall be expressed in periodic and genuine elections, which shall be by universal and equal suffrage, and shall be held by secret vote or by equivalent free voting procedures. Article 22. Everyone, as a member of society, has the right to social security and is entitled to realization through national effort and international cooperation, and in accordance with the organization and resources of each state, of the economic, social, and cultural rights indispensable for his dignity and the free development of his personality. Article 23. 1. Everyone has the right to work, to free choice of employment, to just and favorable conditions of work, and to protection against unemployment. 2. Everyone, without any discrimination, has the right to equal pay for equal work. 3. Everyone who works has the right to just and favorable remuneration, ensuring for himself and his family an existence worthy of human dignity, and supplemented, if necessary, by other means of social protection. 4. Everyone has the right to form and to join trade unions for the protection of his interests.
Babylon not try your thing, but we no fair. Catch panchon and thing. Long panchon and see them catch punch here and them police and soldiers here and there. Yeah, but me set I'm on not just Wi-Fi more time. I have to check in again, you know. I check it in again. But I promise myself, say, me nah stop play the Universal Declaration of Human Rights till everybody have it like ABC. Because me see enough time, me see police abuse the authority and try to take our rights, and we don't even know. And the laws, the Universal Declaration Rights of Human Rights, it's for all countries.
Everyone has the right to rest and leisure,
Anywhere in the world,
including reasonable limitation of working hours and periodic holidays with pay.
You have rights.
Article 25. 1. Everyone has the right to a standard of living adequate for the health and well-being of himself and of his family, including food, clothing, housing and medical care, and necessary social services, and the right to security in the event of unemployment, sickness, disability, widowhood, old age, or other lack of livelihood in circumstances beyond his control. 2. Motherhood and childhood are entitled to special care and assistance.
Special care.
All children, whether born in or out of wedlock, shall enjoy the same social protection. Article 26. 1. Everyone has the right to education. Education shall be free, at least in the elementary and fundamental stages. Elementary education shall be compulsory. Technical and professional education shall be made generally available, and higher education shall be equally accessible to all on the basis of merit. 2. Education shall be directed to the full development of the human personality and to the strengthening of respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms. It shall promote understanding, tolerance and friendship among all nations, racial or religious groups, and shall further the activities of the United Nations for the maintenance of peace. 3. Parents have a prior right to choose the kind of education that shall be given to their children. Article 27. 1. Everyone has the right freely to participate in the cultural life of the community, to enjoy the arts, and to share in scientific advancement and its benefits. 2. Everyone has the right to protection of the moral and material interests resulting from any scientific, literary, or artistic production of which he is the author. Article 28. Everyone is entitled to a social and international order in which the rights and freedoms set forth in this declaration can be fully realized. Article 29. 1. Everyone has duties to the community, in which alone the free and full development of his personality is possible. 2. In the exercise of his rights and freedoms, everyone shall be subject only to such limitations as are determined by law, solely for the purpose of securing due recognition and respect for the rights and freedoms of others, and of meeting the just requirements of morality, public order, and the general welfare in a democratic society. 3. These rights and freedoms may in no case be exercised contrary to the purposes and principles of the United Nations. Article 30.
Blessed love and light.
Nothing in this declaration may be interpreted as implying for any state, group, or person any right to engage in any activity or to perform any act aimed at the destruction of any of the rights and freedoms set forth herein. End of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
Alright, you know we are finished the book of The Richest Man in Babylon. See? We start the book here from yesterday. You know that already, no Mark 10. You know that. We start the book here from yesterday, and the book here is so interesting that if you follow the law and abide by the law, you only can be rich. Because enough people don't know that. And the main important key in the book, The Richest Man in Babylon. You know, a long while that tell me to read it from your youth. The key is the laws that exist today, back in the days, you know, say, makes, bless up, you know, sister. Yeah, the law back in the days when there were camels, horses, now we have cars, we have aeroplanes. So the law in those days, it improvised, but are the same thing. But wealthy men was there then, and wealthy men is here now. But everybody were wealthy. We got the same school, born out of women without dollar same way. So it's simple. I tell you, say, any man were wealthy, them do them thing a little bit different. For example, 2 person selling in the same location. And them a sell corn. The same corn. 2 of them plant it. One get rich out of the corn. And one, what I say, when I say turn worthless, because I get that no power. One no make it. Obviously, the one who rich, do him thing are different. They're a little bit different. So the key out of the richest man in Babylon, why him say, when you work, you have to pay yourself first. 10% of your earning, pay yourself first. And that money where you save, the account where you save it in must be separate. Because that money gonna become your slave. That's the money that's gonna work for you. That's when you're old, that money they take care of you. And it's so simple for true. Because when you work for 10 years, if you work 10 years, 1 year worth of your saving represent your pay what you get for 10 years. So that 1 year there, you just start invest that money there. Matter of fact, the money enough to sit down. Put it on fixed deposit if you don't know if you do it yet. Zena make it turnover. Make it turnover. Just every $100, if you find $100 upon the road, go bank $10. You pay yourself outside. That's what means that the $90 you can have fun, drink rum, smoke weed, go party, do whatever you want to do. But don't touch your slave. Because that 10% going to make you live wealthy. So that no means if you make your money stay there like a sitting duck. You start meditate and you say, all right then. Anything where you see a sell where you can turn on a money, quick money, quick. You do it fast and banking back. Boom, some people buy US. Like if you live in the local country, you buy US. And you sit down upon the US. And as soon as you say the US go up, you change out. And as the US drop, you buy back and put back in a US account. That's another part. What you call that? Yeah, mismanagement of the money. That's how most people do. But you have your management. Just 10% you have to save, you know. $10 out of every $100 for yourself, you know. Even if somebody give you $100, pay yourself. That's the money you're going to make work for you. You think so? All the people are ball about them poor and this and that. Not none of them poor. Poor is a mental state. Saying because you're born in a world where rich, everything around there. Where you think everything that world have to, you know, every new car where them bill, where you think them bill for? If your car drive itself. Every new Benz, every new them bill for you. Who else I go buy it? Who else I go drive it? No must we. Everything we exist in the earth now have no use without we. So that will make you comfort your mind and just do yourself a favor, man. Pay yourself. Anything where you work, pay yourself. You pay a bill, you pay everything and now pay yourself. You know. We're working money, you don't pay yourself, you know. So 10%, $10 out of every $100, $100 out of every $1,000. put it in a one different account. That is called the saving account. That means you don't pull nothing out tight. The money there, anytime that money there touch, have to invest. Turnover. So by the time you reach 40, 50, 60, as the years goes by, your wealth will go up. Your wealth will go up, and guess what that account do for you now? You see, by you saving annually in that account is valid for any loan from any institute. Because when them check your track record, you paying yourself that 10%. Yes, you're going to get loan. And any loan you get off of that account, the money will work for you, no mix you up with the other account or your family affairs. That money there, when you're old, you can cock up your foot and decide, say, your money will work for you, your money can take care of you. You see me? So we are going to the rest of the book, The Richest Man in Babylon. Like and share,
recent
please.
Excavation in the ruins of Babylon arrived on the same boat with your letter. I have been fascinated no end and have spent many pleasant hours translating their inscriptions. I should have answered your letter at once, but delayed until I could complete the translations which are attached. The tablets arrived without damage thanks to your careful use of preservatives and excellent packing. You will be as astonished as we in the laboratory at the story they relate. One expects the dim and distant past to speak of romance and adventure. Arabian Nights sort of things, you know. When instead it discloses the problem of a person named Dabasir to pay off his debts, one realizes that conditions upon this old world have not changed as much in 5,000 years as one might expect. It's odd, you know, but these old inscriptions rather rag me, as the students say. Being a college professor, I am supposed to be a thinking human being possessing a working knowledge of most subjects. Yet here comes this old chap out of the dust-covered ruins of Babylon to offer a way I had never heard of to pay off my debts, and at the same time acquire gold to jingle in my wallet. Pleasant thought, I say, and interesting to prove whether it will work as well nowadays as it did in old Babylon. Mrs. Shrewsbury and myself are planning to try out his plan upon our own affairs, which could be much improved. Wishing you the best of luck in your worthy undertaking and waiting eagerly another opportunity to assist, I am, yours sincerely, Alfred H. Shrewsbury, Department of Archaeology. Tablet 1. Now, when the moon becometh full, I, Dabasir, who am but recently returned from slavery in Syria, with the determination to pay my many just debts and become a man of means worthy of respect in my native city of Babylon, do here engrave upon the clay a permanent record of my affairs to guide and assist me in carrying through my high desires. Under the wise advice of my good friend Mathon, the gold lender, I am determined to follow an exact plan that he doth say will lead any honorable man out of debt into means and self-respect. This plan includeth 3 purposes which are my hope and desire. First, the plan doth provide for my future prosperity. Therefore, 1/10 of all I earn shall be set aside as my own to keep. For Mathon speaketh wisely when he saith, "That man who keepeth in his purse both gold and silver that he need not spend is good to his family and loyal to his king. The man who hath but a few coppers in his purse is indifferent to his family and indifferent to his king. But the man who hath naught in his purse is unkind to his family and disloyal to his king, for his own heart is bitter. Therefore, the man who wisheth to achieve must have coin that he may keep to jingle in his purse, that he have in his heart love for his family and loyalty to his king. Second, the plan doth provide that I shall support and clothe my good wife who hath returned to me with loyalty from the house of her father. For Mathon doth say that to take good care of a faithful wife putteth self-respect into the heart of a man, and addeth strength and determination to his purposes. Therefore 7/10 of all I earn shall be used to provide a home, clothes to wear, and food to eat, with a bit extra to spend, that our lives be not lacking in pleasure and enjoyment. But he doth further enjoin the greatest care that we spend not greater than 7/10 of what I earn for these worthy purposes. Herein lieth the success of the plan. I must live upon this portion, and never use more, nor buy what I may not pay for out of this portion.
This ends Disc 3. The Richest Man in Babylon, Disc 4.
Tablet 2. Third, the plan doth provide that out of my earnings my debts shall be paid. Therefore each time the moon is full, 2/10 of all I have earned shall be divided honorably and fairly among those who have trusted me and to whom I am indebted. Thus in due time will all my indebtedness be surely paid. Therefore do I here engrave the name of every man to whom I am indebted, and the honest amount of my debt. Faru the cloth weaver, 2 silver, 6 copper. Sinjar the couch maker, 1 silver. Amar my friend, 3 silver, 1 copper. Zankar my friend, 4 silver, 7 copper. Askamir my friend, 1 silver, 3 copper. Haransir the jewel maker, 6 silver, 2 copper. Diarbakir, my father's friend, 4 silver, 1 copper. Alkahad, the house owner, 14 silver. Mathon, the gold lender, 9 silver. Birajik, the farmer, 1 silver, 7 copper. From here on, disintegrated, cannot be deciphered. Tablet 3. To these creditors do I owe in total 119 pieces of silver and 141 pieces of copper. Because I did owe these sums and saw no way to repay, in my folly I did permit my wife to return to her father, and didst leave my native city and seek easy wealth elsewhere, only to find disaster and to see myself sold into the degradation of slavery. Now that Mathon doth show me how I can repay my debts in small sums of my earnings, do I realize the great extent of my folly in running away from the results of my extravagances. Therefore have I visited my creditors and explained to them that I have no resources with which to pay except my ability to earn, and that I intend to apply 2/10 of all I earn upon my indebtedness evenly and honestly. This much can I pay, but no more. Therefore, if they be patient, in time my obligations will be paid in full. Amar, whom I thought my best friend, reviled me bitterly, and I left him in humiliation. Birajik, the farmer, pleaded that I pay him first, as he didst badly need help. Alkahad, the house owner, was indeed disagreeable, and insisted that he would make me trouble unless I did soon settle in full with him. All the rest willingly accepted my proposal. Therefore am I more determined than ever to carry through, being convinced that it is easier to pay one's just debts than to avoid them. Even though I cannot meet the needs and demands of a few of my creditors, I will deal impartially with all. Tablet 4. Again the moon shines full. I have worked hard with a free mind. My good wife hath supported my intentions to pay my creditors. Because of our wise determination, I have earned during the past moon, buying camels of sound wind and good legs for Nebertor, the sum of 19 pieces of silver. This I have divided according to the plan. 1/10 have I set aside to keep as my own, 7/10 have I divided with my good wife to pay for our living, 2/10 have I divided among my creditors as evenly as could be done in coppers. I did not see Amar, but left it with his wife. Birajik was so pleased that he would kiss my hand. Old Alcahad alone was grouchy and said I must pay faster. To which I replied that if I were permitted to be well fed and not worried, that alone would enable me to pay faster. All the others thanked me and spoke well of my efforts. Therefore, at the end of one moon, my indebtedness is reduced by almost 4 pieces of silver, and I possess almost 2 pieces of silver besides, upon which no man hath claim. My heart is lighter than it hath been for a long time. Again the moon shines full. I have worked hard, but with poor success. Few camels have I been able to buy. Only 11 pieces of silver have I earned. Nevertheless, my good wife and I have stood by the plan, even though we have bought no new raiment and eaten little but herbs. Again, I paid ourselves 1/10 of the 11 pieces, while we lived upon 7/10. I was surprised when Amar commended my payment, even though small. So did Birajik. Alcahad flew into a rage, but when told to give back his portion if he did not wish it, he became reconciled. The others, as before, were content. Again the moon shines full, and I am greatly rejoiced. I intercepted a fine herd of camels and bought many sound ones. Therefore my earnings were 42 pieces of silver. This moon my wife and myself have bought much-needed sandals and raiment. Also we have dined well on meat and fowl. More than 8 pieces of silver we have paid to our creditors. Even Alcahad did not protest. Great is the plan, for it leadeth us out of debt, and giveth us wealth which is ours to keep. 3 times the moon hath been full since I last carved upon this clay. Each time I paid to myself 1/10 of all I earned. Each time my good wife and I have lived upon 7/10, even though at times it was difficult. Each time have I paid to my creditors 2/10. In my purse I now have 21 pieces of silver that are mine. It maketh my head to stand straight upon my shoulders, and maketh me proud to walk among my friends. My wife keepeth well our home, and is becomingly gowned. We are happy to live together. The plan is of untold value. Hath it not made an honorable man of an ex-slave? Tablet 5. Again the moon shines full, and I remember that it is long since I carved upon the clay. 12 moons in truth have come and gone. But this day I will not neglect my record, because upon this day I have paid the last of my debts. This is the day upon which my good wife and my thankful self celebrate with great feasting that our determination hath been achieved. Many things occurred upon my final visit to my creditors that I shall long remember. Amar begged my forgiveness for his unkind words, and said that I was one of all others he most desired for a friend. Old Alcahad is not so bad after all, for he said, "Thou wert once a piece of soft clay to be pressed and molded by any hand that touched thee. But now thou art a piece of bronze capable of holding an edge. If thou needst silver or gold at any time, come to me." Nor is he the only one who holdeth me in high regard. Many others speak deferentially to me.
Management.
My good wife looketh upon me with a light in her eyes that doth make a man have confidence in himself. Yet it is the plan that hath made my success. It hath enabled me to pay all my debts, and to jingle both gold and silver in my purse. I do commend it to all who wish to get ahead. For truly, if it will enable an ex-slave to pay his debts and have gold in his purse, will it not aid any man to find independence? Nor am I myself finished with it, for I am convinced that if I follow it further, it will make me rich among men. St. Swithin's College, Nottingham University, Newark-on-Trent, Nottingham. November 7th, 1936. Professor Franklin Caldwell, care of British Scientific Expedition, Hilla, Mesopotamia. My dear Professor, if in your further digging into those ruins of Babylon you encounter the ghost of a former resident, an old camel trader named Dabasir, do me a favor. Tell him that his scribbling upon those clay tablets so long ago has earned for him the lifelong gratitude of a couple of college folks back here in England. You will possibly remember my writing a year ago that Mrs. Shrewsbury and myself intended to try his plan for getting out of debt and at the same time having gold to jingle. You may have guessed, even though we tried to keep it from our friends, our desperate straits. We were frightfully humiliated for years by a lot of old debts and worried sick for fear some of the tradespeople might start a scandal that would force me out of the college. We paid and paid every shilling we could squeeze out of income, but it was hardly enough to hold things even. Besides, we were forced to do all our buying where we could get further credit regardless of higher costs. It developed into one of those vicious circles that grow worse instead of better. Our struggles were getting hopeless. We could not move to less costly rooms because we owed the landlord. There did not appear to be anything we could do to improve our situation. Then here comes your acquaintance, the old camel trader from Babylon, with a plan to do just what we wished to accomplish. He jolly well stirred us up to follow his system. We made a list of all our debts, and I took it around and showed it to everyone we owed. I explained how it was simply impossible for me to ever repay them the way things were going along. They could readily see this themselves from the figures. Then I explained that the only way I saw to pay in full was to set aside 20% of my income each month to be divided pro rata, which would pay them in full in a little over 2 years. That in the meantime, we would go on a cash basis and give them the further benefit of our cash purchases. They were really quite decent. Our greengrocer, a wise old chap, put it in a way that helped to bring around the rest. If you pay for all you buy and then pay some on what you owe, that is better than you have done, for you ain't paid down the account none in 3 years. Finally, I secured all their names to an agreement binding them not to molest us as long as the 20% of income was paid regularly. Then we began scheming on how to live upon 70%. We were determined to keep that extra 10% to jingle. The thought of silver and possibly gold was most alluring. It was like having an adventure to make the change. We enjoyed figuring this way and that to live comfortably upon that remaining 70%. We started with rent and managed to secure a fair reduction. Next, we put our favorite brands of tea and such under suspicion, and were agreeably surprised how often we could purchase superior qualities at less cost. It is too long a story for a letter, but anyhow, it did not prove difficult. We managed, and right cheerfully at that. What a relief it proved to have our affairs in such a shape we were no longer persecuted by past due accounts. I must not neglect, however, to tell you about that extra 10% we were supposed to jingle. Well, we did jingle it for some time. Now, don't laugh too soon. You see, that is the sporty part. It is the real fun to start accumulating money that you do not want to spend. There is more pleasure in running up such a surplus than there could be in spending it. After we had jingled to our heart's content, we found a more profitable use for it. We took up an investment upon which we could pay that 10% each month. This is proving to be the most satisfying part of our regeneration. It is the first thing we pay out of my check. There is a most gratifying sense of security to know our investment is growing steadily. By the time my teaching days are over, it should be a snug sum, large enough so the income will take care of us from then on. All this out of my same old check. Difficult to believe, yet absolutely true. All our debts being gradually paid, and at the same time our investment increasing. Besides, we get along financially even better than before. Who would believe there could be such a difference in results between following a financial plan and just drifting along? At the end of the next year, when all our old bills shall have been paid, we will have more to pay upon our investment besides some extra for travel. We are determined never again to permit our living expenses to exceed 70% of our income. Now you can understand why we would like to extend our personal thanks to that old chap whose plan saved us from our hell on earth. He knew. He had been through it all. He wanted others to benefit from his own bitter experiences. That is why he spent tedious hours carving his message upon the clay. He had a real message for fellow sufferers, a message so important that after 5,000 years it has risen out of the ruins of Babylon just as true and just as vital as the day it was buried. Yours sincerely, Alfred H. Shrewsbury, Department of Archaeology. Chapter 10. The Luckiest Man in Babylon. At the head of his caravan proudly rode Shahrunada, the merchant prince of Babylon. He liked fine cloth and wore rich and becoming robes. He liked fine animals and sat easily upon his spirited Arabian stallion. To look at him, one would hardly have guessed his advanced years. Certainly, they would not have suspected that he was inwardly troubled. The journey from Damascus is long, and the hardships of the desert many. These he minded not. The Arab tribes are fierce and eager to loot rich caravans. These he feared not, for his many fleet-mounted guards were a safe protection. About the youth at his side, whom he was bringing from Damascus, was he disturbed. This was Hayden Gula, the grandson of his partner of other years, Arid Gula, to whom he felt he owed a debt of gratitude which could never be repaid. He would like to do something for this grandson, but the more he considered this, the more difficult it seemed because of the youth himself. Eyeing the young man's rings and earrings, he thought to himself, "He thinks jewels are for men. Still, he has his grandfather's strong face. But his grandfather wore no such gaudy robes. Yet I sought him to come, hoping I might help him get a start for himself and get away from the wreck his father has made of their inheritance." Hayden Gula broke in upon his thoughts. "Why dost thou work so hard, riding always with thy caravan upon its long journeys? Dost thou never take time to enjoy life?" Shahrunada smiled. "To enjoy life?" he repeated. "What wouldst thou do to enjoy life if thou wert Shahrunada?" "If I had wealth equal to thine, I would live like a prince. Never across the hot desert would I ride. I would spend the shekels as fast as they came to my purse. I would wear the richest of robes and the rarest of jewels. That would be a life to my liking, a life worth living." Both men laughed. "Thy grandfather wore no jewels," Shahrunada spoke before he thought, then continued jokingly, "Wouldst thou leave no time for work?" "Work was made for slaves," Hayden Gula responded. Shahrunada bit his lip but made no reply, riding in silence until the trail led them to the slope. Here he reined his mount, and pointing to the green valley far away, "See, there is the valley. Look far down, and thou canst faintly see the walls of Babylon. The tower is the temple of Bel. If thine eyes are sharp, thou mayest even see the smoke from the eternal fire upon its crest. So that is Babylon? Always have I longed to see the wealthiest city in all the world, Hayden Gula commented. Babylon, where my grandfather started his fortune. Would he were still alive, we would not be so sorely pressed. Why wish his spirit to linger on earth beyond its allotted time? Thou and thy father can well carry on his good work. Alas, of us neither has his gift. Father and myself know not his secret for attracting the golden shekels. Sharunada did not reply, but gave rein to his mount and rode thoughtfully down the trail to the valley. Behind them followed the caravan in a cloud of reddish dust. Some time later they reached the King's Highway and turned south through the irrigated farms. 3 old men plowing a field caught Sharunada's attention. They seemed strangely familiar. How ridiculous. One does not pass a field after 40 years and find the same men plowing there. Yet something within him said they were the same. One, with an uncertain grip, held the plow. The others laboriously plodded beside the oxen, ineffectually beating them with their barrel staves to keep them pulling. 40 years ago, he had envied these men. How gladly he would have exchanged places. But what a difference now. With pride he looked back at his trailing caravan, well-chosen camels and donkeys loaded high with valuable goods from Damascus. All this was but one of his possessions. He pointed to the plowers, saying, "Still plowing the same field where they were 40 years ago. They look it, but why thinkest thou they are the same?" "I saw them there," Sharunada replied. Recollections were racing rapidly through his mind. Why could he not bury the past and live in the present? Then he saw, as in a picture, the smiling face of Arid Gula. The barrier between himself and the cynical youth beside him dissolved. But how could he help such a superior youth with his spendthrift ideas and bejeweled hands? Work he could offer in plenty to willing workers, but not for men who considered themselves too good for work. Yet he owed it to Arid Gula to do something, not a half-hearted attempt. He and Arid Gula had never done things that way. They were not that sort of men. A plan came almost in a flash. There were objections. He must consider his own family and his own standing. It would be cruel. It would hurt. Being a man of quick decisions, he waived objections and decided to act. "Wouldst thou be interested in hearing how thy worthy grandfather and myself joined in the partnership which proved so profitable?" he questioned. "Why not just tell me how thou madest the golden shekels? That is all I need to know," the young man parried. Sharunada ignored the reply and continued, "We start with those men plowing. I was no older than thou. As the column of men in which I marched approached, good old Megiddo, the farmer, scoffed at the slipshod way in which they plowed. Megiddo was chained next to me. 'Look at the lazy fellows,' he protested. 'The plow holder makes no effort to plow deep, nor do the beaters keep the oxen in the furrow. How can they expect to raise a good crop with poor plowing?' "Didst thou say Megiddo was chained to thee?" Hayden Gula asked in surprise. "Yes, with bronze collars about our necks and a length of heavy chain between us. Next to him was Zabado, the sheep thief. I had known him in Harun. At the end was a man we called Pirate because he told us not his name. We judged him as a sailor as he had entwined serpents tattooed upon his chest in sailor fashion. The column was made up thus so the men could walk in fours. Thou wert chained as a slave? Hayden Gula asked incredulously. Did not thy grandfather tell thee I was once a slave? He often spoke of thee, but never hinted of this. He was a man thou couldst trust with innermost secrets. Thou, too, are a man I may trust, am I not right? Sharunada looked him squarely in the eye. Thou mayest rely upon my silence, but I am amazed. Tell me, how didst thou come to be a slave? Sharunada shrugged his shoulders. Any man may find himself a slave. It was a gaming house and barley beer that brought me disaster. I was the victim of my brother's indiscretions. In a brawl he killed his friend. I was bonded to the widow by my father, desperate to keep my brother from being prosecuted under the law. When my father could not raise the silver to free me, she in anger sold me to the slave dealer. What a shame and injustice, Hayden Gula protested. But tell me, how didst thou regain freedom? We shall come to that, but not yet. Let us continue my tale. As we passed, the plowers jeered at us. One did doff his ragged hat and bow low, calling out, Welcome to Babylon, guests of the king. He waits for thee on the city walls where the banquet is spread, mud bricks and onion soup. With that, they laughed uproariously. Pirate flew into a rage and cursed them roundly. What do those men mean by the king awaiting us on the walls? I asked him. To the city walls ye march to carry bricks until the back breaks. Maybe they beat thee to death before it breaks. They won't beat me. I'll kill 'em. Then Megiddo spoke up. It doesn't make sense to me to talk of masters beating willing, hard-working slaves to death. Masters like good slaves and treat them well. Who wants to work hard? Commented Sabato. Those plowers are wise fellows. They're not breaking their backs, just letting on as if they be. Thou can't get ahead by shirking, Megiddo protested. If thou plow a hectare, that's a good day's work, and any master knows it. But when thou plow only a half, that's shirking. I don't shirk. I like to work, and I like to do good work, for work is the best friend I've ever known. It has brought me all the good things I've had, my farm and cows and crops, everything. Yea, and where be these things now? Scoffed Zabato. I figure it pays better to be smart and get by without working. You watch Zabato. If we're sold to the walls, he'll be carrying the water bag or some easy job, when thou, who like to work, will be breaking thy back carrying bricks. He laughed his silly laugh. Terror gripped me that night. I could not sleep. I crowded close to the guard rope, and when the others slept, I attracted the attention of Godoso, who was doing the first guard watch. He was one of those brigand Arabs, the sort of rogue who, if he robbed thee of thy purse, would think he must also cut thy throat. Tell me, Godoso, I whispered, when we get to Babylon, will we be sold to the walls? Why want to know? He questioned cautiously. Canst thou not understand? I pleaded. I am young. I want to live. I don't want to be worked or beaten to death on the walls. Is there any chance for me to get a good master? He whispered back. I tell something. Thou good fellow, give Godoso no trouble. Most times we go first to slave market. Listen now. When buyers come, tell 'em you good worker, like to work hard for good master, make 'em want to buy. You not make 'em buy, next day you carry brick, mighty hard work. After he walked away, I lay in the warm sand looking up at the stars and thinking about work. What Megiddo had said about it being his best friend made me wonder if it would be my best friend. Certainly it would be if it helped me out of this. When Megiddo awoke, I whispered my good news to him. It was our one ray of hope as we marched toward Babylon. Late in the afternoon, we approached the walls and could see the lines of men, like black ants, climbing up and down the steep diagonal paths. As we drew closer, we were amazed at the thousands of men working. Some were digging in the moat, others mixed the dirt into mud bricks. The greatest number were carrying the bricks in large baskets up those steep trails to the masons. Overseers cursed the laggards and cracked bullock whips over the backs of those who failed to keep in line. Poor, worn-out fellows were seen to stagger and fall beneath their heavy baskets, unable to rise again. If the lash failed to bring them to their feet, they were pushed to the side of the paths and left writhing in agony. Soon they would be dragged down to join other craven bodies beside the roadway to await unsanctified graves. As I beheld the ghastly sight, I shuddered. So this was what awaited my father's son if he failed at the slave market. Godoso had been right. We were taken through the gates of the city to the slave prison, and next morning marched to the pens in the market. Here the rest of the men huddled in fear, and only the whips of our guard could keep them moving so the buyers could examine them. Megiddo and myself eagerly talked to every man who permitted us to address him. The slave dealer brought soldiers from the king's guard who shackled Pirate and brutally beat him when he protested. As they led him away, I felt sorry for him. Megiddo felt that we would soon part. When no buyers were near, he talked to me earnestly to impress upon me how valuable work would be to me in the future. Some men hate it. They make it their enemy. Better to treat it like a friend. Make thyself like it. Don't mind because it is hard. If thou thinkest about what a good house thou build, then who cares if the beams are heavy and it is far from the well to carry the water for the plaster? Promise me, boy, if thou get a master, work for him as hard as thou canst. If he does not appreciate all thou do, never mind. Remember, work well done does good to the man who does it. It makes him a better man. He stopped as a burly farmer came to the enclosure and looked at us critically.
Yeah.
Megiddo asked about his farm and crops, soon convincing him that he would be a valuable man. After violent bargaining with the slave dealer, the farmer drew a fat purse from beneath his robe, and soon Megiddo had followed his new master out of sight. A few other men were sold during the morning. At noon, Godoso confided to me that the dealer was disgusted and would not stay over another night, but would take all who remained at sundown to the king's buyer. I was becoming desperate when a fat, good-natured man walked up to the wall and inquired if there was a baker among us. I approached him, saying, "Why should a good baker like thyself seek another baker of inferior ways? Would it not be easier to teach a willing man like myself thy skilled ways? Look at me. I am young, strong, and like to work. Give me a chance, and I will do my best to earn gold and silver for thy purse." He was impressed by my willingness and began bargaining with the dealer who had never noticed me since he had bought me, but now waxed eloquent on my abilities, good health, and good disposition. I felt like a fat ox being sold to a butcher. At last, much to my joy, the deal was closed. I followed my new master away, thinking I was the luckiest man in Babylon. My new home was much to my liking. Nananeid, my master, taught me how to grind the barley in the stone bowl that stood in the courtyard, how to build the fire in the oven, and then how to grind very fine the sesame flour for the honey cakes. I had a couch in the shed where his grain was stored. The old slave housekeeper, Swasti, fed me well and was pleased at the way I helped her with the heavy tasks. Here was the chance I had longed for to make myself valuable to my master, and, I hoped, to find a way to earn my freedom. I asked Nananeid to show me how to knead the bread and to bake. This he did, much pleased at my willingness. Later, when I could do this well, I asked him to show me how to make the honey cakes, and soon I was doing all the baking. My master was glad to be idle, but Swasti shook her head in disapproval. "No work to do is bad for any man," she declared. I felt it was time for me to think of a way by which I might start to earn coins to buy my freedom. As the baking was finished at noon, I thought Nananeid would approve if I found profitable employment for the afternoons and might share my earnings with me. Then the thought came to me, why not bake more of the honey cakes and peddle them to hungry men upon the streets of the city? I presented my plan to Nananeid this way. "If I can use my afternoons after the baking is finished to earn for thee coins, would it be only fair for thee to share my earnings with me that I might have money of my own to spend for those things which every man desires and needs?" Fair enough, he admitted. When I told him of my plan to peddle our honey cakes, he was well pleased. "Here is what we will do," he suggested. "Thou sellest them at 2 for a penny, then half of the pennies will be mine to pay for the flour and the honey and the wood to bake them. Of the rest I shall take half, and thou shalt keep half." I was much pleased by this generous offer that I might keep for myself 1/4 of my sales. That night I worked late to make a tray upon which to display them. Nananeid gave me one of his worn robes that I might look well, and Swasti helped me patch it and wash it clean. The next day I have honey cakes. They looked brown and tempting upon the tray as I went along the street, loudly calling my wares. At first no one seemed interested, and I became discouraged. I kept on, and later, when men became hungry, the cakes began to sell, and soon my tray was empty. Nananeid was well pleased with my success and gladly paid me my share. I was delighted to own pennies. Megiddo had been right when he said a master appreciated good work from his slaves.
Richest Man in Babylon.
That night, I was so excited over my success I could hardly sleep and tried to figure how much I could earn in a year and how many years would be required to buy my freedom. As I went...
Excuse me, the people. I studied a book called The Richest Man in Babylon.
Oh, all right, bye.
Yeah, man. Bless up, my sister.
With my tray of cakes every day, I soon found regular customers. One of these was none other than thy grandfather, Arid Gula. He was a rug merchant and sold to the housewives, going from one end of the city to the other, accompanied by a donkey loaded high with rugs and a black slave to tend it. He would buy 2 cakes for himself and 2 for his slave, always tarrying to talk with me while they ate them. Thy grandfather said something to me one day that I shall always remember. "I like thy cakes, boy, but better still, I like the fine enterprise with which thou offerest them. Such spirit can carry thee far on the road to success." But how canst thou understand, Hayden Gula, what such words of encouragement could mean to a slave boy, lonesome in a great city, struggling with all he had in him to find a way out of his humiliation? As the months went by, I continued to add pennies to my purse. It began to have a comforting weight upon my belt. Work was proving to be my best friend, just as Megiddo had said. I was happy, but Swasti was worried. "Thy master, I fear to have him spend so much time at the gaming houses," she protested. I was overjoyed one day to meet my friend Megiddo upon the street. He was leading 3 donkeys loaded with vegetables to the market. "I am doing mighty well," he said. "My master does appreciate my good work, for now I am a foreman. See, he does trust the marketing to me, and also he is sending for my family. Work is helping me to recover from my great trouble. Someday it will help me to buy my freedom and once more own a farm of my own." Time went on, and Nananead became more and more anxious for me to return from selling. He would be waiting when I returned and would eagerly count and divide our money. He would also urge me to seek further markets and increase my sales. Often I went outside the city gates to solicit the overseers of the slaves building the walls. I hated to return to the disagreeable sights, but found the overseers liberal buyers. One day I was surprised to see Zabado waiting in line to fill his basket with bricks. He was gaunt and bent, and his back was covered with welts and sores from the whips of the overseers. I was sorry for him and handed him a cake which he crushed into his mouth like a hungry animal. Seeing the greedy look in his eyes, I ran before he could grab my tray. "Why dost thou work so hard?" Arid Gula said to me one day. "Almost the same question thou asked of me today, dost thou remember?" I told him what Megiddo had said about work and how it was proving to be my best friend. I showed him with pride my wallet of pennies and explained how I was saving them to buy my freedom. "When thou art free, what wilt thou do?" he inquired. "Then," I answered, "I intend to become a merchant." At that he confided in me, something I had never suspected.
Bless up in our Albertines.
"Thou knowest not that I also am a slave. I am in partnership with my master." "Stop," demanded Hayden Gula. "I will not listen to lies defaming my grandfather. He was no slave." His eyes blazed in anger. Sharunada remained calm. "I honor him for rising above his misfortune and becoming a leading citizen of Damascus. Art thou his grandson, cast of the same mold? Art thou man enough to face true facts, or dost thou prefer to live under false illusions?" Hayden Gula straightened in his saddle. In a voice suppressed with deep emotion, he replied, "My grandfather was beloved by all. Countless were his good deeds.
Salute.
When the famine came, did not his gold buy grain in Egypt, and did not his caravan bring it to Damascus and distribute it to the people so none would starve? Now thou sayest he was but a despised slave in Babylon. Had he remained a slave in Babylon, that he might well have been despised. But when, through his own efforts, he became a great man in Damascus, the gods indeed condoned his misfortunes and honored him with their respect." Sharunada replied. "After telling me that he was a slave," Sharunada continued, "he explained how anxious he had been to earn his freedom. Now that he had enough money to buy this, he was much disturbed as to what he should do. He was no longer making good sales and feared to leave the support of his master. I protested his indecision. "Cling no longer to thy master. Get once again the feeling of being a free man. Act like a free man and succeed like one. Decide what thou desirest to accomplish, and then work will aid thee to achieve it." He went on his way, saying he was glad I had shamed him for his cowardice. One day I went outside the gates again, and was surprised to find a great crowd gathering there. When I asked a man for an explanation, he replied, "Hast thou not heard? An escaped slave who murdered one of the king's guards has been brought to justice and will this day be flogged to death for his crime. Even the king himself is to be here." So dense was the crowd about the flogging post, I feared to go near lest my tray of honey cakes be upset. Therefore, I climbed up the unfinished wall to see over the heads of the people. I was fortunate in having a view of Nebuchadnezzar himself as he rode by in his golden chariot. Never had I beheld such grandeur, such robes and hangings of gold cloth and velvet. I could not see the flogging, though I could hear the shrieks of the poor slave. I wondered how one so noble as our handsome king could endure to see such suffering. Yet when I saw he was laughing and joking with his nobles, I knew he was cruel and understood why such inhuman tasks were demanded of the slaves building the walls. After the slave was dead, his body was hung upon a pole by a rope attached to his leg so all might see. As the crowd began to thin, I went close. On the hairy chest, I saw tattooed 2 entwined serpents. It was Pirate. The next time I met Arid Gula, he was a changed man. Full of enthusiasm, he greeted me. "Behold, the slave thou knewest is now a free man. There was magic in thy words. Already my sales and my profits are increasing. My wife is overjoyed. She was a free woman, the niece of my master. She much desires that we move to a strange city where no man shall know I was once a slave. Thus our children shall be above reproach for their father's misfortune. Work has become my best helper. It has enabled me to recapture my confidence and my skill to sell." I was overjoyed that I had been able, even in a small way, to repay him for the encouragement he had given me. One evening, Swasti came to me in deep distress. "Thy master is in trouble. I fear for him. Some months ago, he lost much at the gaming tables. He pays not the farmer for his grain, nor his honey. He pays not the moneylender. They are angry and threaten him." "Why should we worry over his folly? We are not his keepers," I replied thoughtlessly. "Foolish youth, thou understandest not. To the moneylender didst he give thy title to secure a loan? Under the law he can claim thee and sell thee. I know not what to do. He is a good master. Why, oh, why should such trouble come upon him?" Not were Swasti's fears groundless. While I was doing the baking next morning, the moneylender returned with a man he called Sasi. This man looked me over and said I would do. The moneylender waited not for my master to return, but told Swasti to tell him he had taken me. With only the robe on my back and the purse of pennies hanging safely from my belt, I was hurried away from the unfinished baking. I was whirled away from my dearest hopes as the hurricane snatches the tree from the forest and casts it into the surging sea. Again, a gaming house and barley beer had caused me disaster. Sasi was a blunt, gruff man. As he led me across the city, I told him of the good work I had been doing for Nananeid, and said I hoped to do good work for him. His reply offered no encouragement. "I like not this work. My master likes it not. The king has told him to send me to build a section of the Grand Canal. Master tells Sasi to buy more slaves, work hard, and finish quick. Bah! How can any man finish a big job quick?" Picture a desert with not a tree, just low shrubs and a sun burning with such fury the water in our barrels became so hot we could scarcely drink it.
Hey, I don't know if you not listen to Bombard story, you know. Yeah, honestly said there's more for us to be grateful for. That these are few ancestors that will come out of slavery, you know. Under the hands of the wickedest leader ever, you know, Nebuchadnezzar, you know. And them money a story and theology help create whole billionaires in a society today. I don't know if you not listen, you know, where the man them go through, you know. So if our forefathers them have to go through that, we have never been sold as a slave. We have never been we not go through that for work to gain freedom. then for gain a life. You know see how the man them great. You know see how one of the man great, the man married him master niece. When him done work and help him master set up him business, he's not only a free man, but was able to marry the master niece. So tell me, black man and a God.
Then picture rows of men going down into the deep excavation and lugging heavy baskets of dirt up soft, dusty trails from daylight until dark. Picture food served in open troughs from which we helped ourselves like swine. We had no tents, no straw for beds.
The richest man in Babylon,
That was the situation in which I found myself. I buried my wallet in a marked spot, wondering if I would ever dig it up again. At first I worked with good will, but as the months dragged on, I felt my spirit breaking. Then the heat fever took hold of my weary body. I lost my appetite and could scarcely eat the mutton and vegetables. At night I would toss in unhappy wakefulness. In my misery I wondered if Zabado had not the best plan, to shirk and keep his back from being broken in work. Then I recalled my last sight of him and knew his plan was not good. I thought of Pirate with his bitterness and wondered if it might be just as well to fight and kill. The memory of his bleeding body reminded me that his plan was also useless. Then I remembered my last sight of Megiddo. His hands were deeply calloused from hard work, but his heart was light and there was happiness on his face. His was the best plan. Yet I was just as willing to work as Megiddo. He could not have worked harder than I. Why did not my work bring me happiness and success? Was it work that brought Megiddo happiness, or was happiness and success merely in the laps of the gods? Was I to work the rest of my life without gaining my desires, without happiness and success? All of these questions were jumbled in my mind, and I had not an answer. Indeed, I was sorely confused. Several days later, when it seemed that I was at the end of my endurance and my questions still unanswered, Sasi sent for me. A messenger had come from my master to take me back to Babylon. I dug up my precious wallet, wrapped myself in the tattered remnants of my robe, and was on my way. As we rode, the same thoughts of a hurricane whirling me hither and thither kept racing through my feverish brain. I seemed to be living the weird words of a chant from my native town of Harun. Besetting a man like a whirlwind, driving him like a storm, whose course no one can follow, whose destiny no one can foretell. Was I destined to be ever thus punished for I knew not what? What new miseries and disappointments awaited me? When we rode to the courtyard of my master's house, imagine my surprise when I saw Arid Gula awaiting me. He helped me down and hugged me like a long-lost brother. As we went our way, I would have followed him as a slave should follow his master, but he would not permit me. He put his arm about me, saying, "I hunted everywhere for thee. When I had almost given up hope, I did meet Swasti, who told me of the moneylender who directed me to thy noble owner. A hard bargain he did drive, and made me pay an outrageous price. But thou art worth it. Thy philosophy and thy enterprise have been my inspiration to this new success." "Megiddo's philosophy, not mine," I interrupted. "Megiddo's and thine. Thanks to thee both, we are going to Damascus, and I need thee for my partner." "See," he exclaimed, "in one moment thou wilt be a free man." So saying, he drew from beneath his robe the clay tablet carrying my title. This he raised above his head and hurled it to break in 100 pieces upon the cobblestones. With glee he stamped upon the fragments until they were but dust. Tears of gratitude filled my eyes. I knew I was the luckiest man in Babylon. "Work, thou see, by this, in the time of my greatest distress, didst prove to be my best friend. My willingness to work enabled me to escape from being sold to join the slave gangs upon the walls. It also so impressed thy grandfather, he selected me for his partner. Then Hayden Gula questioned, was work my grandfather's secret key to the golden shekels? It was the only key he had when I first knew him, Sharunada replied. Thy grandfather enjoyed working. The gods appreciated his efforts and rewarded him liberally. I begin to see, Hayden Gula was speaking thoughtfully. Work attracted as many friends who admired his industry and the success it brought. Work brought him the honors he enjoyed so much in Damascus. Work brought him all those things I have approved. And I thought work was fit only for slaves. Life is rich with many pleasures for men to enjoy, Sharunada commented. Each has its place. I am glad that work is not reserved for slaves. Were that the case, I would be deprived of my greatest pleasure. Many things do I enjoy, but nothing takes the place of work. Sharunada and Hayden Gula rode in the shadows of the towering walls up to the massive bronze gates of Babylon. At their approach, the gate guards jumped to attention and respectfully saluted an honored citizen. With head held high, Sharunada led the long caravan through the gates and up the streets of the city. I have always hoped to be a man like my grandfather, Hayden Gula confided to him. Never before did I realize just what kind of man he was. This thou hast shown me. Now that I understand, I do admire him all the more and feel more determined to be like him. I fear I can never repay thee for giving me the true key to his success. From this day forth I shall use his key. I shall start humbly as he started, which befits my true station far better than jewels and fine robes. So saying, Hayden Gula pulled the jeweled baubles from his ears and the rings from his fingers. Then, reining his horse, he dropped back and rode with deep respect behind the leader of the caravan. Chapter 11. An Historical Sketch of Babylon. In the pages of history, there lives no city more glamorous than Babylon. Its very name conjures visions of wealth and splendor. Its treasures of gold and jewels were fabulous. One naturally pictures such a wealthy city as located in a suitable setting of tropical luxury, surrounded by rich natural resources of forests and mines. Such was not the case. It was located beside the Euphrates River in a flat, arid valley. It had no forests, no mines, not even stone for building. It was not even located upon a natural trade route. The rainfall was insufficient to raise crops. Babylon is an outstanding example of man's ability to achieve great objectives using whatever means are at his disposal. All of the resources supporting this large city were man-developed. All of its riches were man-made. Babylon possessed just two natural resources: a fertile soil and water in the river. With one of the greatest engineering accomplishments of this or any other day, Babylonian engineers diverted the waters from the river by means of dams and immense irrigation canals. Far out across that arid valley went these canals to pour the life-giving waters over the fertile soil. This ranks among the first engineering feats known to history. Such abundant crops as were the reward of this irrigation system the world had never seen before. Fortunately, during its long existence, Babylon was ruled by successive lines of kings to whom conquest and plunder were but incidental. While it engaged in many wars, most of these were local or defensive against ambitious conquerors from other countries who coveted the fabulous treasures of Babylon. The outstanding rulers of Babylon live in history because of their wisdom, enterprise, and justice. Babylon produced no strutting monarchs who sought to conquer the known world that all nations might pay homage to their egotism. As a city, Babylon exists no more. When those energizing human forces that built and maintained the city for thousands of years were withdrawn, it soon became a deserted ruin. The site of the city is in Asia, about 600 miles east of the Suez Canal, just north of the Persian Gulf. The latitude is about 30 degrees above the equator, practically the same as that of Yuma, Arizona. It possessed a climate similar to that of this American city, hot and dry. Today, this valley of the Euphrates, once a populous irrigated farming district, is again a windswept arid waste. Scant grass and desert shrubs strive for existence against the wind-blown sands. Gone are the fertile fields, the mammoth cities, and the long caravans of rich merchandise. Nomadic bands of Arabs, securing a scant living by tending small herds, are the only inhabitants. Such it has been since about the beginning of the Christian era. Dotting this valley are earthen hills. For centuries, they were considered by travelers to be nothing else. The attention of archaeologists were finally attracted to them because of broken pieces of pottery and brick washed down by the occasional rainstorms. Expeditions, financed by European and American museums, were sent here to excavate and see what could be found. Picks and shovels soon proved these hills to be ancient cities. City graves, they might well be called. Babylon was one of these. Over it for something like 20 centuries, the winds had scattered the desert dust. Built originally of brick, all exposed walls had disintegrated and gone back to earth once more. Such is Babylon, the wealthy city, today. A heap of dirt, so long abandoned that no living person even knew its name until it was discovered by carefully removing the refuse of centuries from the streets and the fallen wreckage of its noble temples and palaces. Many scientists consider the civilization of Babylon and other cities in this valley to be the oldest of which there is a definite record. Positive dates have been proved reaching back 8,000 years. An interesting fact in this connection is the means used to determine these dates. Uncovered in the ruins of Babylon were descriptions of an eclipse of the sun. Modern astronomers readily computed the time when such an eclipse, visible in Babylon, occurred, and thus established a known relationship between their calendar and our own. In this way, we have proved that 8,000 years ago, the Sumerites, who inhabited Babylonia, were living in walled cities. One can only conjecture for how many centuries previous such cities had existed. Their inhabitants were not mere barbarians living within protecting walls. They were an educated and enlightened people. So far as written history goes, they were the first engineers, the first astronomers, the first mathematicians, the first financiers, and the first people to have a written language. Mention has already been made of the irrigation systems which transformed the arid valley into an agricultural paradise. The remains of these canals can still be traced, although they are mostly filled with accumulated sand. Some of them were of such size that, when empty of water, a dozen horses could be ridden abreast along their bottoms. In size, they compare favorably with the largest canals in Colorado and Utah. In addition to irrigating the valley lands, Babylonian engineers completed another project of similar magnitude. By means of an elaborate drainage system, they reclaimed an immense area of swampland at the mouths of the Euphrates and Tigris rivers and put this also under cultivation. Herodotus, the Greek traveler and historian, visited Babylon while it was in its prime and has given us the only known description by an outsider. His writings give a graphic description of the city and some of the unusual customs of its people. He mentions the remarkable fertility of the soil and the bountiful harvest of wheat and barley which they produced. The glory of Babylon has faded, but its wisdom has been preserved for us. For this we are indebted to their form of records. In that distant day, the use of paper had not been invented. Instead, they laboriously engraved their writing upon tablets of moist clay. When completed, these were baked and became hard tile. In size, they were about 6 by 8 inches and an inch in thickness. These clay tablets, as they are commonly called, were used much as we use modern forms of writing. Upon them were engraved legends, poetry, history, transcriptions of royal decrees, the laws of the land, titles to property, promissory notes, and even letters which were dispatched by messengers to distant cities. From these clay tablets, we are permitted an insight into the intimate personal affairs of the people. For example, one tablet, evidently from the records of a country storekeeper, relates that upon the given date, a certain named customer brought in a cow and exchanged it for 7 sacks of wheat, 3 being delivered at the time, and the other 4 to await the customer's pleasure. Safely buried in the wrecked cities, archaeologists have recovered entire libraries of these tablets, hundreds of thousands of them. One of the outstanding wonders of Babylon was the immense walls surrounding the city. The ancients ranked them with the Great Pyramid of Egypt as belonging to the 7 wonders of the world. Queen Semiramis is credited with having erected the first walls during the early history of the city. Modern excavators have been unable to find any trace of the original walls, nor is their exact height known. From mention made by early writers, it is estimated they were about 50 to 60 feet high, faced on the outer side with burnt brick, and further protected by a deep moat of water. The later and more famous walls were started about 600 years before the time of Christ by King Nabopolassar. Upon such a gigantic scale did he plan the rebuilding, he did not live to see the work finished. This was left to his son Nebuchadnezzar, whose name is familiar in biblical history. The height and length of these later walls staggers belief. They are reported upon reliable authority to have been about 160 feet high, the equivalent of the height of a modern 15-story office building. The total length is estimated as between 9 and 11 miles. So wide was the top that a 6-horse chariot could be driven around them. Of this tremendous structure, little now remains except portions of the foundations and the moat. In addition to the ravages of the elements, the Arabs completed the destruction by quarrying the brick for building purposes elsewhere. Against the walls of Babylon marched, in turn, the victorious armies of almost every conqueror of that age of wars of conquest. A host of kings laid siege to Babylon, but always in vain. Invading armies of that day were not to be considered lightly. Historians speak of such units as 10,000 horsemen, 25,000 chariots, 1,200 regiments of foot soldiers with 1,000 men to the regiment. Often 2 or 3 years of preparation would be required to assemble war materials and depots of food along the proposed line of march. The city of Babylon was organized much like a modern city. There were streets and shops. Peddlers offered their wares through residential districts. Priests officiated in magnificent temples. Within the city was an inner enclosure for the royal palaces. The walls about this were said to have been higher than those about the city. The Babylonians were skilled in the arts. These included sculpture, painting, weaving, gold working, and the manufacture of metal weapons and agricultural implements.
Very much so.
Their jewelers created most artistic jewelry. Many samples have been recovered from the graves of its wealthy citizens and are now on exhibition in the leading museums of the world. At a very early period, when the rest of the world was still hacking at trees with stone-headed axes, or hunting and fighting with flint-pointed spears and arrows, the Babylonians were using axes, spears, and arrows with metal heads. The Babylonians were clever financiers and traders. So far as we know, they were the original inventors of money as a means of exchange, of promissory notes, and written titles to property.
So long.
Babylon was never entered by hostile armies until about 540 years before the birth of Christ. Even then, the walls were not captured. The story of the fall of Babylon is most unusual. Cyrus, one of the great conquerors of that period, intended to attack the city and hoped to take its impregnable walls. Advisors of Nabonidus, the king of Babylon, persuaded him to go forth to meet Cyrus and give him battle without waiting for the city to be besieged. In the succeeding defeat to the Babylonian army, it fled away from the city. Cyrus thereupon entered the open gates and took possession without resistance. Thereafter, the power and prestige of the city gradually waned until, in the course of a few hundred years, it was eventually abandoned, deserted, left for the winds and storms to level once again to that desert earth from which its grandeur had originally been built. Babylon had fallen, never to rise again, but to it civilization owes much.
Sure.
The eons of time have crumbled to dust the proud walls of its temples, but the wisdom of Babylon endures.
I hate that, you know. I hate that. But me no want to learn from the richest man in Babylon. Babylon, them I say Babylon was built in the desert, right? Because the man that tell us when he reached as a slave, you know. See? The only thing there is dry desert sand. Far as the eye can see, a sand. That's even the water in a buckle. Becomes hot water. So imagine in the days when the wicked king whip black people. If he move some big rock and stone and mortar if he build up the city. But then build it on sand. There was city walls of goals and whatever. That's where them say civilization come from. Not originally. Yeah, but some of those methods are used today. Because when you say Babylon, you know, Babylon, we mean, I don't know, white people we are talking about, you know. City of Babylon was built by black people. Herod them. Pharaoh them. And we used to slave, we. Them man, they used to be real God in a flesh. Because them man have the wisdom and the knowledge to do certain things. You see me? So when we look where we are come from to where we are today, we're supposed to be more than grateful. The only thing we have to do now is tap in at the knowledge. Tap in at the source. Free yourself. Stop being a slave for money. Let money be the slave for you. Basically, I don't know what I want to get from the story. Even though sometimes, you know, when that's how I like listen, I like read then listen. Sometimes you listen a story, you know, you probably don't have no time. That's why if you study, I have to find time. See, bless up, you know, William. You know, we just finished the book called The Richest Man in Babylon. So we just go over it a little bit so we can get the first key is pay yourself. Whatever you earn and work in a life, pay yourself 10%. If you walk and find $100, save $10. Pay yourself. And every money that you pay yourself with, whether earn or by luck or whatever, let that money be a slave. Let the money work for you. You don't work for money. That is a method that was used from the great city of Babylon time till now. And at that, some man have overweight. So, come here, so that's why I say, say the educational system cheat us, bro. Because although you might say them would have said higher education or whatever, it wasn't taught in our school, but it exists in the Hales and the Harvard. Foolishness. It should be taught in basic schools. Because enough of we grow up, when we make our first $1 million, we don't know what to do with it. We go buy car, we go drink it, we go galley out. And woman take for them first million, mind, man, and all sort of same thing. See? When these things should be taught in school. Whatever you work, pay yourself first. And let that money becomes your slave. Let that money, put it on fixed deposit, make you go and turn over if you don't know with it. Because that money is to save forever. You don't have to touch it. $10, you know. Out every $100, you know. $100 out every $1,000. That's your slave. Put it in a separate account called the savings account. Or the serious savings. You don't have to touch that. $1,000. You put $100 out of that, pay yourself. You don't have to touch that. You have $900 to pay your bills, whatever you have to do, and leave your ledger. But that 10%, you're a slave that the money works for you. And if then you just teach with that from basic school, life itself would have better. The community would be better. The country would be better and would have a better world. So no matter how much bill you have to pay yourself first. You will figure out the rest. Don't be scared to owe people. Don't be scared to borrow. When you can get a loan from a lender, take it. Build your business. That's why I tell you, say, yes, start from small. So, as me say, respect your savings account. The one you pay yourself, that's a the serious saving. But you still have a saving account and you have one like checking your spending. Zane? But if you're wise, every dollar you earn, bank it. And if you are going to pay a bill, bank it. Then draw it. Because upon your schedule of banking approves you for whatever loan you seek. So basically, to be rich and be wealthy, you have to borrow money. But borrow money wisely. Remember, the only way you can win, the man who are learning don't tell you in percentage, what he want, Remember, well, don't go by time, You see, any loan you get and them get time to pay it off, you don't want that. Because the lender already know about wealth. Me have to allow you to pay me back on your terms that is comfortable for you and does not affect your. Every human being have a right to live free and live comfortable. So if me say me want 20% per 1 million, and you, the base on your earning or whatever you do, you give me in the paper writing, say me, say me borrow $1 million from you, but say me comfortable can pay you $15,000 a month. Remember, it's a loan company me have, The only thing me should have worry me if you're not pay. But me make it comfortable for you pay what you can pay. That means you can pay on time. So every day the lender make money. So if you take 10 years to pay back the 10 million as long as you pay annually, and also accommodate your savings and your side investments, right? Because that's why every dollar you work if you bank, But pay yourself and take out the 10% for yourself, bank it, and seek not to spend while you work. Seek to borrow against that. Because if you're weak, if you get pay every 25th of the month, right? Your aim is not to use your money, Sit down and think, man. Your aim is to go to the loan officer. Not touch your pay and show him your pay slip. Them say this me get every lend more $5 million. and me comfortable can pay this amount. See? So, nothing is wrong with borrowing money, but it's the agreement. I beg you, don't sign any contract with no loan or lender. Sign an agreement. Even if they have their contract already, tell him, say, you're not interested in contract. Tell him, say, you don't like contracts. You'd rather, for them, to just go in a simple agreement with you. One thing you know is you have to pay them back. Right? So just make it accessible for you. You will pay. Even if it take 20 years, you will pay. Meanwhile, you're borrowing that money. That means if you, when you are approved of the loan, because any smart loan company will lend you money. Because you're not touching your pay. Your pay coming into your account the same 25th every month. Right? And you pay your loan every month. Make sure so you pay for your loan every month is less than what your pay is. Because remember, you have to pay yourself too. And then the money when you borrow, make sure it's to do business. It's to invest. It's to turnover. So tell me how you're going to be broke. How you're going broke now. How you're going broke if you're paying and touch. You want to have a good job, you know. You want to get the first 3 month pay slip, you know. Ban your belly, you know. Name grass as why man say, you know. Whatever, you know. Down your amount your money and do. Because remember you're young, you know, and you want a better life. So you have to go through little sacrifice. Left in your bank, make it on there. You understand me? I say, survive, find a way to survive. What if you never work? Never have no money. Find a way to survive. Until you reach your maturity if you get that loan to start such business. So these things, they never taught us, never teach us. You know, so it's never too late. And there's no such thing as age. The spirit now have no age, is infinity. So nobody tell us, say, oh no, Lord, God, it's too late, me can't do that. Lie. Start paying yourself 10% of your earning. Whether by work or hustling, pay yourself first. And any money at all where you get, bank it. Even if you have to spend it, make it go through your account. Because that's what approve your loan. You know, bank on want to see you have a history record of regular savings at a certain time to approve your loan. But don't borrow the money unless you have a business set, you know what I mean? Yeah, and remember to pay yourself. And what you pay yourself, look at $1 out every $10. $10 out every $100, $100 out every $1,000. Remember I said that one day enough to touch. That one day have to work for you. No matter what go on with the other business and affairs, that one day enough to touch. That one day is what work for you. Because in your old age and your old days, that's the one that's gonna take care of you. Yeah. So the book was very interesting. Me never listen to it still, honestly, because me have some business to take care of during the time. But when I come back, me say wanna stand up and listen. That tomorrow we are going on different heights. Yeah? And we educate yourself. I know, but I think we're done with them yet. Because sometimes they listen it one time, you don't get it. So we put it off till another time we go through it again. Because the more you listen, the more you learn. The more you go into your DNA, the more it pace up on your memory. You know what I mean? Because some of the things that go on in our life, we distract. You know what I mean? Yeah. But especially the Universal Declaration of the Human Rights. If you have that as ABC, if you know that by heart, that means that when any peace officer, any police, anywhere you're going to the world, trying to take away your rights, you can stand up. Stand up and talk to him and say, listen, you're violating my rights. Yeah. So we now, every time we start with the human rights, till we get it. And we're not finished with the 48th law of power either. That's a powerful thing. And we're going to go back to that. We do enough things. We do the 58th universal law. We do 48th law of power. We do science of getting rich. We do the wisest book ever written. Enough we do, We are going. Count of money, Crystal. Much to learn in that. Okay, thank you. Your enlightenment, I give you one book, the name, Count of Monte Cristo. Thank you. Yeah, man, I saw each one teach and each one. Yeah, man. Yeah, man, I definitely gonna do a research on that. Yeah? Yeah, and then we can go into that. Count of Money. Oh, Count of Monte Cristo. I think they did do don't they did do a movie on him? The Mount of Monte. Yeah, man, I think they do a movie on him, you know. Yeah, man, they do a movie on him. Yeah, watch that movie there. Yeah, man, that some line in that movie there for sure. Why go through and then yeah, man. Yeah. Thought you was talking about count of money. Okay, you know, if people hear about money, we want to hear about money. You know, but you have to know the laws of money. They go me and say that they never teach you the laws of investment and the laws of money, you know. Yeah, man. Where is the book deep? We're going to search it up, man. We're going to search it up and get that. You know what I mean? Because you know how to go and unlock some code in there that can help you do life. In making better decisions. In this great journey we call life. But then for sure, our blood, sweat, and tears build the city of Babylon. You see that sink, man. You see Babylon city fall and can't come back. You see how powerful the ancestral spirit them is, brother. A bee sun cover the whole city, brother. A sun drown the whole city. All of your scientists good at dig up rubble, man. Oh, yo. A death and blood and sweat build a city there, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. That's how the judgment work, man. So as I say, blessed love and light to all. More light to your light, more power to your power, moderation to your darkness. Study everything, fear nothing. So I say, as we seek for more knowledge, to live a better and comfortable life, and to seek power of knowledge, so we can be more aware of what's happening around us, seen and unseen, as in the sky, as in the sea below. You understand me? I say we have it because that's our right to know about everything. And if you notice how we little white brother and sister them operate, if them are pass on bush, you know, black people we run. Notice what them do. Them have to see our. If you look like beast and ugly, then no business, them want to be the first one to tame a beast. If it's a new creature, them want to be the first one to discover it. Them want to friend it. Them, yo, I tell you, no, sir. What goes around comes around. Yeah, that's one of the law of them too. Well, just like what you put out will come back to you. Do unto others as you like them do unto you. Prove by actions and not by words. Yeah. Blessed love and light, you know, Spencer. Yeah, me G. We just finished the book of the richest man in Babylon. So we just there all a little joy, a little reasoning, you know what I mean? Anyone have no great book, you know, can share, because I have hundreds, you know. No yet, you know. But with the funniest thing with all of the wisest book them were written, you know. You know, hear some man I put their name say written by them, then lie. All of them the book the brother Timbuktu, them take out all of them the book the other brother. Timbuktu. Remember that. You know, I said the oldest university ever exists in the world is in Morocco. Morocco is Africa. But it's still not Morocco because Egypt are the first people who see civilization. You understand me? I said the first satellite dish ever in the whole universe comes from Egypt. You understand me? I say, yeah. So all the reversal psychology, what them are doing, all them are want it. But Nikola Tesla discover electricity. Where they come from? When? When you not see on the tablet, them when I tell about the great city of Babylon, you not see everything carved on the tablet, them when them are fine. You not see computer. You not see bulb. Long before Jesus Christ was born. That's what them say. You know see? I lie some man I tell, man. Lie. Dig what me I say? But we know the truth. Truth lies within us. We no fool. You see me? But anyway, we still give thanks if them put their names side them right, because we still again the knowledge. It open unto us. Yeah, man, everything. A tablet used to write it on, man. When I say wall, you know, I saw them used to tick, I did for them book that. And that's all I did for them, you know, never, paper never exists. They come here and write it on wall and on some tablet. And right now, whole pipe bury on that sand there. Then find enough of them and can't show them, you know. Them are wait till probably one next 100 years, then they say, them did write it. But them are youth will get wiser and wiser and wiser and wiser. Them can't go around them a pitney. I'm sorry for them. Nothing we them couldn't go around, but let's we pitney them. Yeah, man. Just guide the youth them here, guide them here. Please. Just guide them, get them. Let them love knowledge and wisdom like them would have love to play. It's like every day they love go up on the internet, just get them mind into learning things, knowing things, you know? Yeah. Feed them with knowledge. You know, cause them powerful. I don't want them to use it the wrong way. Cause them use the power to destroy themselves and murder themselves. We don't want that. We want them to use the power to build themselves. Think what me I say? Yeah. Better house, better community, better country, better world. Simple maths that. Think what me I say? So when Brunette, blessed love and light to you. So what we need to do? Human beings wasn't made to carry burdens, so don't think about nothing when you're in problem, nothing about nothing you're in stress, nothing about nothing like that. If it come upon you, it's dynamic. You understand? I remember poverty is a mental thing. So when you say problem or whatever, stress, whatever, a name like you, it want to take over your flesh, remember the words, I cast all my burdens on the Almighty that lives within me, and I will walk free. Yeah? No man no make for carry stress and burden. You can't manage it, bro. It wasn't made for you. You cannot focus, you cannot see clear. When people make stress, they can't even eat. You understand me? I say, so that means they never make for we. God didn't make for we up. God make us to be happy. Happy and give us everything. Look what the Almighty God love us, man. He give us everything in abundance, you know. Food, water, clothing, shelter. We can't look how much people up on earth. Them can't drink off the amount of water in the earth. We can't eat up the amount of food in the earth. And yet still people say them are starve and are dead for hunger. You know, say something wrong. This education and then teach is selfish. This race and class and something. And that make some people are hungry. People chasing money when their money for chase them. People are work for money when their money for work for them. You know, see? We have to get ourselves together, man, and get the thing together and do the right thing, man. So our children can speak proud of we when we gone. You see me? Yeah, the guys say, oh, my grandfather and my grandmother never sit down and take no foolishness, you know. Them they get up and do something about it. You dig what me I say? I saw we want to remember we. So we have the chance to do, you know, but nobody tell us you're old, you know. Lie. The spirit can't hold. The spirit when in here is infinity. Lie. As long as you can speak. And you know you're right, man. You can create and do something great before you leave this earth and enter the higher realms. Dig what me I say? So all you get kick where and fling where. No make nobody tell you all. Cause that the demon, you know, the demon of the pit name I use that word to it too. You all have to wait time now. Your time now, what you know about the earth? What you know nothing? You can't govern yourself. You don't know how to govern the world. And enough how we sit down and give them the chance. If you go out when they go out, where you see our young kids them doing? Killing themselves. Killing each other. Look at the universities in Jamaica. I can speak of Jamaica. What these children who have got university, them turn chopper, them turn scammer. Because them are running with fast cash, fast money and wealth. Them now study these books, the richest man in Babylon. Them study the laws of the universe, the laws of physics. Them now study them something there. That is not a subject in the university where them go. You dig what me I say? So we really have to start sitting and reason with the youth them. Reason with them. Yeah, the most powerful receive of the brain and of the memories when the child is young. Because I can also remember things that happened to me when I was 4 years old. Yeah. And when my mother teach me not depart from me, I'll know. So the earlier you can teach them things, the better for you. And that's what Babylon know. That's why they teach you foolishness when we got basic school. Eh? Dish run away with spoon. Eh? The cow jump over the moon. Tell me now to rat it. What them that doing at school? Hey, Babylon, hey, one thing still, you have to give Babylon rating still, hey, the man, them smart, you know. Yo, me no know, yo, y'all, them a talk about what they call it, black magic or whatever magic. The wickedest magic, man, or Babylon magic, virgin. Even now, today, in our country, a politician is still winning by promises and not by actions. And if election be called tomorrow, who can promise the best things win? All know we know say we employ them. Any decision made should be for the will of the people and for the will of God. All know we know see that, you know. No man, me say any politician will tell you no say them all fix road. If you vote for them or whatever they tell them say you are fix it right now, we vote here. Win by actions, brother, not by word. We tired of it. How much more years we go and take promises? How much more years? And we big and more intelligent and more wise now. Huh, sir? Yeah. And not only that too. Remember when you're young, you know, the body protect itself. You know what I mean? A child, you can, alright. For sure, you. When we used to keep my kids for holiday, I buy cases of juice to them and cases of snack or whatever it is. You know, I buy them in a case. But guess what? I'm show you something. You know, say me start eat with them. Every time my daughter and my son them say, they want juice, me take out one for them and one for myself. You know what happen? Me buying. My feces become green. So what that I tell you say? What a child can consume when it's young, the body, the organs in the body and the metabolism system, when a metabolism system stronger. So it push out, the body reject certain poison. But when the more we grow, the weaker the resistance is. So when I go doctor tell me sir that and give me something named fiber wheat. So you sprinkle over the come gonna pass feast. Some have sprinkle over every food when I eat to get it soften, some strain myself when me a pass feast. So you know I say the Almighty and the verse protect a child a real thing. The baby is super protected by every power of the universe. I remember if you heard about it, it's a plane crash or a train and everybody died except a baby that was on the train. So you understand me I say? Yes, enlightenment. You dig what me I say? So basically me I say teach your kids them man. From the young teach them. Where look on the little youth when named Nathan. Where the little new comedian. Where you think Nathan take over the whole a trend on TikTok and IG. His father start training from early. Nathan can hardly talk, but his brain, knowledge is stronger than his lip and his words. I say, yeah, teach them from the young man. We know that when Nathan the more he get older, the more he's gonna be brilliant. Cause him already in father first time in that direction already, and him get better and better on it. Yeah, man. So I say tomorrow morning, we are going to go on our next light. You don't know me, a family life, me have my thing them to deal with same way. And it's my great, I'm honored, and it's a great pleasure for them to share knowledge with each other. As you share with me, and I share with you. You know what I mean? Much love and gratitude. And as I will say, more light to your light, more power to your power, more moderation to your darkness. No fear, fret not, fear nothing. Study about evil, study about darkness, study about light, study about what move in the skies, what move in the sea, what move around you, seen and unseen. Because you are the author, you are designed as a key. The Almighty God and the Almighty God has give you the authority over all things. So fear none. As long as you have life. When you speak the word, you hear it, you see it at the Almighty that in you. No fear nothing. Do the right thing. Understand me? I say, much love and respect to you same way. They go me I say, give thanks in our Albertine, man. You know the godness, man. It only bring gladness. You see me? And the knowledge, it's alright to have knowledge, because knowledge is power. And a man without power, when we say man, I just use that. Man and woman without power. Why you think when you don't have power, you feel so left out and you feel so down? Because it's your right to have power. It's your will to have power. But you have your own fingerprint. That means you have your own individual talent. You're special. You are a miracle. You are God's miracle. So find out who you are. You know what I mean? If you don't know who you is yet, create a reputation. When you create a reputation, and when them see you, them say, oh, him is a skillful youth. Him is a plumber. Him find something, brother. Everybody we're born on the face of the earth is somebody special, is something special. You know what I say? So we can't waste our time no more. I can't sit down and run bar, drink. So go create something. Get one paper and pencil and think. Try create something for yourself for $1 US. And then do your online, set up your online shop. Show you how you use it and why you use it. And we will share it with one another. And we buy it too. 8.1 billion people in the earth, brethren. So and you can create something, you can look around you. Paint a stone or do something. Show me what you use it for and sell it. People will buy it. People will buy it just because of your creativity, your artistry. People will buy one stone if you paint it and carve out, sit in it and say it got some use to show me. People will buy it. Can't just sit down so I drink out your brain and I smoke out your brain and I listen full music every day, demon, kill, back. No, man, I know that God Almighty created for man. You use a purpose. Use a purpose. Find your island. You see me? Big up Mark 1085. Find your island. Them that code. Man, about thing name. Find your island. That means find who you really are. Find what you're here to be. And be it. You see me? I say, yeah. For those who just are past you, we just finished the book called Richest Man in Babylon, and it was very interesting. We all listened from day before yesterday, I think, or yesterday. Yesterday morning. Yeah, it was very interesting. And also show us where ancestors them go through, brethren, to build the city of Babylon, brethren. Death, blood. What you think God Almighty sink the city of Babylon? When I desert him and them carry slave man go build the city in a brethren. And man I tell you say, when he reach on the slave site, man, when he look as far as he can see, brethren, a sun. One little river did it, but when he full in back of water, it hot like a fire in the pan. Those are the things our ancestors go through. For we there so today. So we have so much to be more than grateful for. And I am grateful for what they did. And sometimes we might say, oh, they didn't teach us certain things. They couldn't teach us what they didn't know. Because the trick is, the picture caught your attention. Yeah, man, no, we ancestors them, man. We ancestors them, you know. We glorify them, you know. Right now, if you ask me who him is or why name, I don't know. But you see, from me, upon them try their whole meditation, yeah, all these pictures just are coming in my inbox. And they must have come in my inbox. I saw the law of attraction work. You attract things. You know, be a warrior forward to me. Be your things. And they go me and say, and as I said, I don't know who he is. I don't know. Me can't say me don't know who he is. Me know how we that. But me say me can't tell where it come from or who created it. But so much of them are come to me. That's, the vision and the site where we are going to the future. Me can see it. The original people. The true goddess and God of creations. Them arise again. 6,000 years done. The Adamites them already rule for 6,000 years. It's our time now. And we have the knowledge and we have the blessing and we feed the world. The white, the blue, the green people, them no care which people are out of darkness come light. Out of mama pitney them. The whole of them are we create them. You know? So full time them come submit themselves to them true fathers and mothers and make the world go right. As me said, they are a special blood type, and there's a special bloodline of people who are supposed to be in government bodies worldwide. The people with the O blood type. The O blood there, those are the special people and to sit up on the thrones them. You see me, 'cause back in the days, life was much better because people know the chosen people them before them born. You see me? They can know them by their spirit and by their countenance. From them, yeah, before the baby born, they know. Can they get the vision and the sky move? The sun move out that place. They know say one more great king are born. Yeah, man, infinity, man. When we say reincarnation, people kind of scared. But remember, the spirit is infinity. Yeah, my spirit older than me. I mean, know that from a little bit. Something me know that. You know what I mean? My friends them are never my age. I be a big man and my friend. My first husband used to write love letter for the big man in my community because they can't read. Alright, you know. Enough man and them girlfriend of foreign broke up on me, write letter and men up back for him and woman come married him. Now coffee walk them if you either give me $20 letter because them no want people say they can't read. And me never let them down. So my spirit we born in me couldn't be 3 or 4 or 5 year old. No sir. So that we prove, we tell us, say, yo, know thyself. See thyself as a spiritual energy. You know what I mean? Don't see yourself in the physical realms too much, because if you see yourself in the human level too much, you're going to face stress, problem, or but when you live in the heights, you fly over everything, because the battle is not against flesh and blood, it's against the spiritual host of wickedness. So when you see your brother or your sister act up away, you know, they're not doing it off their own. You're attacked by one of those spirits that was always after your ancestor, will look just like you. So you have to know if you rebuke them spirit there. Yeah. And stay busy and stay focused. So you don't have no time for your if you don't have no argument with no man or no girl or no boy. You know what I mean? Yeah, brother. Salute the divinity now. More love and prosperity, man. No cure that spirit and make you miserable to them, my sister. You soon find your purpose. Because when you find your purpose, you go busy and do your business, and me I come support you. Because once it's good for one, it's good for all. And if it's bad for one, it's bad for all. So if you make a poison to kill the first 3 and 4 and 5 and 10, because me could have be the 1,000 customer who come bite you. From you. So you empower each other. So your face looks so to them, my sister, man. Smile, man. Say beautiful, man. You know, if you cast thy burning and the Almighty will live in you and walk free, man. What could I make my beautiful sister look so today? Chum, man. Could I say, you know, I say, who are trouble you? Nobody not trouble you. You are trouble yourself. Whosoever you say trouble you and make your face look so right now, call them right now on video call and look on for their face if they look so. They don't look so. Are you are the weak one, the demon take over the one who weak. The one where no in the high frequency. You see me? Because most of the people make you vex and walk with this stuff face. Them a smile off fun and gone about them business. Yeah. Remember this. Remember that code there. The demon not nobody for himself. The devil not nobody for himself. That's why I'm have to use people to get to you. So what you have to do? Talk to the 3 element when the person when they in front of you. You know? Talk to them. Separate them in a split second. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, say, you know, because, you know, one of the realms of life where we have to conquer our loved ones. You know, say they love you. You know, say they care for you. And then something can do something, a simple little thing. And you're going to get mad and vex and hate and like you want, hurt and like you want, kill. That's not you. That's not them. It's a demon spirit. Take over. So you have to rebuke the spirit out of them. Don't tell them say you hate them. Tell them say you see that spirit that when you. You see that spirit that when I like you. You see that spirit there when I wish you no good. Get rid of that spirit there. Control your demons. Different thing you just say to him, you know. Search himself. Search yourself. Get rid of that one. That one not work at all, brother. That one not gonna make you reach now. Yes. Because of course them not have nobody for themselves. And them love traveling in a flesh. You go some places and you go back home. If you feel heavy, turn your roll when you reach your gate. Turn your roll when you reach your gate. When you reach your door again, turn your roll and walk back way. Go inside of your house. Don't just walk going so. turn a roll 3 times. Walk back way, go inside. And close the door and say, you're not welcome. Go back to the pit of hell. You're not welcome here. Because we know the energy. If you study yourself, you know when a different energy will follow you go home. You know. You can feel it. Study yourself. Know thyself. But study those energy. Study when you're happy. When you was at the happiest point of your life. Study what you used to do. For me, I used to pray every morning. I used to use the laws of the universe without even study them. I used to say blessings to everyone and smile. Me used to help the old lady across the street. Any effort, any little thing when me say, if you do a helping and we can help somebody, me run if you do it gladly. Me even do it now. To all some older white people, me see and them look at them and say, what's your name, sir? Thank you, sir. Where you from, sir? You say, me say Jamaica, I love big up my country. So me say Jamaica. Oh, nice. Some of them say they didn't get married. Some say they visit there one time, they want to go back. You know what I mean? So, vibrating at the higher frequency, man. You dig what me and say, my problem enough for you. Stress enough for you. I cast thy burden that in the Almighty God that lives within me, and I will walk free. You were made free. Free will. Free thinking. That's your right. No care what it is, man. And then, divine bonding. No left that out tight. Remember divine bonding. You know if you hold on to nothing and I bet nothing hold on to you. Therefore, if you can develop the control of your emotions, you're not supposed to watch your woman, and a woman not supposed to watch your man, because if it's yours by divine right, then can't go nowhere and then can't leave you. The thing that you fear to lose is what you will lose. What fear? And the law work for you. Notice in a relationship when you give somebody your full attention. If they not gonna left you. I love my bond relationship. That's why I go divine bonding. But I say look upon them relationship probably and give them. See? Anytime a man or a woman tell each other how much they love them and them adore them, it's self-destruct. Because you cannot give everything to the next partner. You becomes boring, brethren. Or you give her all of your love in a one day. She want to a different man now, man. I'm tired of that. You give her everything. Take one day at a time. You see me, I say, once she, I feel, and if you have fear, you don't have to worry about that. Just conquer the realms of life. Understand me, I say? Learn and grow. You see me, I say? Focus on your dreams and your goals. Pay yourself. No matter how you work, pay yourself. See? And I don't go talk, me I talk, you know. Me have 3 accounts, you know. Yeah. You know, say somebody just wire me $100. As me done, me a transfer 10 over in my account. Me a pay myself over that first. You think me a idiot? You think I talk? Me a talk? Me a do it. Yeah. And no pass no $1 no penny a ground, you hear? Because if you say you want wealthy and you want to become a millionaire, every penny where you pass, a closer you get to being that millionaire. But nobody trick you, take you one day at a time here. And some people are dash for $1 and I walk past kind like them a idiot. And that's how you go. Don't violate the law of the universe. If you want, alright, do you know that in the whole world right now, in the whole universe right now, that $1 million where you look for dash for a ground? In the whole world? You know what dollar that ground right now? But they know the one place. Yeah, man. So that will show you, say, there's nothing in the earth where you want, where you can't achieve. Be a creator, create something. And my brother and sister, I'm going to get on a book, get on a pencil. You start, draw. If you don't know how to create, just go and draw something. Just keep your finger active. Every night you're going to try to draw something. Look even design. Look at clothes design. You can go in and design one new shirt, you know, for the future, you know. And you sew it for yourself too, you know. And look upon you and press you and say, oh, yeah, you know, say this. I want you to look different. Yeah. And you put it on. And then you rock one, go to work. And I say, where you get that? Well, you look nice. I say, no, sir, me designing. Lord, master, I will sell, you know, come and love it. Once he good for one, he good for all. Clothes alone you can make billions of dollars because clothing come with creativity and style. And code them there. You can create a lot of things, man. All of us to create something. Yes. We are born as creators. Yeah, man, and remember when you create something, smile with a smile on your face, it's 8.1 billion customers you have in the world. So anything you create, once you make your online store and set it up and put a video what the use of this, yeah, it's me there. So here we are. Blessed love and light. Catch you tomorrow morning again. Yeah, 8:30. Peace within thy walls and prosperity within thy palace. Remember, I don't say house, palace. Because remember the family foundation. Buy piece of land, hold on the family, build upon it. Yeah, and as the family extend, add upon it. Everybody feel live in a palace. Thank you.